Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. About 12 or so years ago, I came across a small little group of people who were standing out against the Gulf War. And they had a peace vigil every Friday in Marietta Square from 12 until 1. Now, Marietta is a suburb just outside of Atlanta, about 20 or so minutes, not too far. But it's in the square area, of course, is the courthouse for Cobb County, and there's a lot of people walking back and forth, going to eat in restaurants, and a lot of lawyers go back and forth from court cases or whatever back to their offices. So there's a lot of people in and about in this area. And the group that I came to meet, like I said, did this peace vigil every Friday right in front of the courthouse, and it was right at the corner of one of the streets of the square. And the woman who headed it up, her name was Judy, and she was an older lady. I don't know exactly how old, but I just remember how short she was, because as tiny as my wife is, when my wife stood up next to her, she would look like a giant compared to Judy. In fact, actually, I think Judy would have to stand on a step stool to get to 5 feet. So it was just, but this woman was so committed and so passionate about the ending of the Gulf War that she made a commitment that she would be out there every Friday for an hour until the war ended. And she was. It didn't matter what the weather was like. Didn't matter whether it was 100 degrees and 100% humidity, or if it was cold and icy or rainy. It didn't matter. Judy was out there. And this one Friday, I happened to be out there, and my sign had Maitreya's, "Without sharing, there could be no justice. Without justice, there could be no peace. Without peace, there could be no future," was the sign that I had. And her sign was a little bit more directed against the war in Iraq. And I think there was a couple other people that were standing out there. It wasn't just Judy and I. And I was talking to somebody, I think, and I look over, and there's this very tall, slender African-American kid. He looked like he was about 20, in his early 20s, maybe mid-20s, I guess. He looked like he was about 6'1", 6'2", so not that much taller than me, but a lot taller than Judy. And he was leaning in to listen to what she was saying. And I heard some of the questions that he asked her, and it kind of caught my ear. And he was like, "Well, how are we gonna end the war in Iraq," or something like that. And she's going on and on and on about it and talking to him, and he's just kind of smiling at her. And I just remember his skin was so smooth. It was just glowing. It was like perfect skin. And I'm not a skin guy, so I don't go around really looking at other people's skin. But for some reason, it just really struck with me when Maitreya had the way how smooth his skin was. And then I also looked at remember his teeth. His teeth were perfect. I mean, absolute perfect smile, perfect white teeth, everything, as he's smiling at her. And then he looks over at my sign, and he kind of reads my sign, "Without sharing, there could be no justice. Without justice, there could be no peace. Without peace, there could be no future." And as he looks at me, he winks at me, and he smiles. And this perfect smile, except for now his top left tooth is missing. And I was like, Maitreya has done that before when I've read in Share International magazine, where he might have perfect teeth and missing a tooth here or there. And then, like I said, when he smiled at me, I just noticed this one tooth was missing, right? And he just kind of winked at me. And then he went back to talking to Judy. I don't think he talked to me when we were standing on the street corner. And this time when he went back to smiling at her, I noticed that his teeth were fine again. And there was no missing tooth. It was just, it was kind of weird. So then, I don't know how much longer after he had stopped talking to Judy, he left. And I was walking back to my car and all that kind of stuff. And I went down this little side street, and there's this pub right on this side street, right off the square, that had these tables with the kind of like a canopy over it. And he's just kind of sitting there. And there's nobody else really walking around. It was just he and I. I saw him kind of sitting at these chairs, and as I'm walking by, I think I smiled at or said hello to him or something like this, and he kind of stopped me and said something about how it was really cool that this group was out there, standing up against the war or something like this. I can't remember exactly how he started the conversation verbatim, but it was something like that, right? And then he said something in reference to a prayer that I said to Maitreya a few weeks before this, or maybe a week or so before this. And I was kind of at a low point in my life where I didn't think I was doing very much in terms of service to the world, and I really wanted to do more. And I said in this prayer a few weeks prior to this, I said to Maitreya, I said, I'm not even worthy enough to call myself your disciple, is the exact words that I used. And I felt so bad about it and kind of guilty about it. But when he was standing out or sitting outside this little pub, right as I'm walking back to my car, he looks at me and he starts talking about peace and how the need for peace and all that kind of stuff. And then he stops abruptly and he looks at me and he goes, I never judge anyone on whether they're good or bad. I only notice the good things that they do. And you're going to notice when you see Maitreya and even when you see Jesus on TV that they're not the awesome punisher that the Christians make, Jesus out to be or the Christ out to be. In fact, according to Ben's own master, the word punishment is not found anywhere in Maitreya's vocabulary. So he only notices the good things that we do, is my point. Now, he started talking about a couple other things. Then he looked at me and he goes, we're going to change the world and we're going to do it. And he goes, you're going to see me on real soon. You're going to see me on TV real soon, and we're going to change the world together, is what he said to me. And then he kind of stood up and he did another thing that I thought was kind of funny was he asked me for a quarter. Now, I've read in Share National magazine where he would ask people for just a little bit of money, like, $1 or 25 cents or 10 cents or something like this. And he's doing it to teach people the need for sharing is really what it is. And there was this one experience that I read where he asked this lady for 25 cents and she gave it to him. Of course, she was, oh, that's Maitreya. She was thinking this to herself. So she gave it to him. And then he asked for another 25 cents. She goes, okay. So she gives him another 25 cents. Then he gives another 20, and he asked for another 25 cents. And now she's getting kind of perturbed about it, right? And so the more he asks her for 25 cents, the more she reluctantly gives it to him, right? But it was obviously her lesson that she needed to learn, right? So he asked me for 25 cents. And I remember thinking to myself, probably not the best thought, but I remember thinking, I was like, I don't want to go through this with him. So what I did was I opened up my wallet and I had 17 ones in my pocket. I remember that. And I just said, I folded it up and I stuck it in his hand and said, here you go, man. You can have it all. And he just looked at me, oh, thank you so much, right? And he goes, remember, you're going to see me on TV real soon, and we're going to change the world together. But, and as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.